Hey guys, welcome back to the Sterny channel. My name is Mally Morgenstern, and today I wanted to go over some concepts that I've been working on for a character that's in one of the main characters in a graphic novel that I've been working on. His name is Charn. As you can see, I've been mainly working on his body, his proportions. He is a human man with the head of a dragon, and the dragon head is supposed to be like a little bit unproportional, a little bit too big for his body. So part of what I've been trying to work out is making it look, because obviously when you're designing something you want it to look pleasing to the eye, even if the thing that you're designing, like the point of it might be that it's ugly or asymmetrical, or you might be like, you're not going to design everything to look beautiful, but you do want to design everything to have good design. So I'm trying to design him to look like his head is a little unproportional, but still have the character's proportions as a whole still come together, feel real, feel solid, because otherwise it's just going to feel silly, and we don't want our designs to feel silly. We want them to feel grounded and real. And that's what separates a really good design, at least for something that's mostly realistic, like maybe stylized realism or full realism. If you're going for something obviously that's literally a cartoon, you can bend the rules a lot more and have an absolutely fantastic design. But for something that's more realistic, you really have to have your design feel very, very grounded in order to be effective. So what I have laid out right here is just my musings, my paper musings. Actually, the one over here is a sketch by my mom, who actually wrote the script for the graphic novel. So she did that little dragon concept, and it was not specifically for Charn, but she pointed that out as inspiration for him. So I'll actually just get some information about him over here. So Charn is one of the main characters. The working title of the graphic novel is Elwing, and Charn, let's see, you don't want to sort of lose sight of things. It's very easy to get wrapped up in the fun of doing the designing, and then you go back and you look at the information that you got from your client, or even just what you had planned on your own, and you realize that you strayed very far from what you were supposed to do, which sometimes can be good. Sometimes really interesting design elements come out of that when you went a direction that you weren't planning on going, but you also don't want to waste time if you've, accidentally designed something that was very off of your original intent. So let's give ourselves like a little cheat sheet, if you will. So he is a human, but he has the ability to shapeshift into a dragon, which is where we get this dragon form inspiration from. And obviously his current form, he has a dragon head. So in his current form, he does have a human body, but he has a dragon head. And I'm not going to get too much into why, because that would spoil part of the graphic novel, and obviously I want everyone to read it. So I'll leave you in suspense on that. But there is a reason why he is currently trapped in a predicament where he has a dragon head. So he does permanently have a dragon's head, and then he also has the ability to fully transform into his dragon form. Other than that, he has a pretty classic adventurer's outfit, and there's not too much else to really distinguish him. I mean, obviously, we're going to get into the details of design at some point, but in terms of broad strokes of his character, he does not have, like, any special element to his outfit, nothing terribly, terribly distinct, other than, obviously, what we've written down, because the dragon's head is pretty distinct. But that is pretty much going to be our little cheat sheet for Charn. And obviously, I've already, as you can see laid out before you, I've already done a fair bit of work on his design, but I really have not touched his outfit at all, and I've only done really barely any iterations of his dragon head, so I have a lot more work to do there. But his body I do have pretty much laid out. I feel like it's pretty much done. I just need to figure out how the head cooperates with the body. So if we come over here, let's get rid of that for now. And then if we come over here, you can see, obviously this is my pencil sketch that I imported. And then over here, I already have done some work on essentially just transferring the sketch, cleaning it up. If we get rid of our can I speak? If we get rid of our reference, we can see here the cleaned up sketch that I have going on. So why don't we just get into working on this? I think honestly the main thing that I need to do really is just this hand, which, hands are always a pain. I'm just gonna change the orientation so that it's a little bit easier on me. Okay. So as I work on this hand, I don't want to be putting way too much effort into it, because the hand is not important. It's just a hand, and even if I draw it terribly, you probably will be able to tell it's a hand. And that is pretty much the main thing, As long as you can tell that he has a hand, that's pretty much the important bit done. And obviously, if our drawing looks good, that's great. But when you're trying to be, I'm not trying to make an illustration right now. I'm trying to make a body, I'm trying to design a body, and then work off of that body as a template to work on his outfit and his dragon head. So I don't want to get lost in the hand, which is really easy to do. It's incredibly easy to just be drawing something and you're sort of subconsciously thinking to yourself, well, I needed to work on this design today, and I am, Clearly, look, I'm working on it. But what you're actually doing is drawing a hand. So it's just important to sort of just be mindful of what you're working on and think to yourself, is this the most valuable thing that I could be doing right now? I'm not sure that this it's kind of working. I think I might come back to this orientation. That's another thing. When you're drawing, never forget to flip. Flipping is your best friend. It is so, so useful. You really just want to make it a full habit. Because once it becomes a habit, then it becomes ingrained into your work, And then everything that you do at every moment will always be checked, and you'll never be working on something that you didn't realize was totally wonky. I mean, not to say that you never will be. You probably still will. Everyone does. Everyone does a wonky something every once in a while. But if you really get into the habit of flipping, you're going to find that happens a lot less. And when it does happen, it's probably because you're missing some vital information about how to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. Like, if you find that you're often messing up on the torso, no matter how much you flip, it probably means that you need to do more looking into how torsos work. And then you'll have it. So it wasn't necessarily that you were failing in flipping, but that you didn't understand it innately. In general, not just flipping, it's a good practice to change your orientation, change your view. Changing how you're looking at something physically wildly changes how you're looking at it mentally. And it can be really pretty fascinating how that works. Like just now, I'm looking over at my other monitor to see how this looks a little bit farther away. I feel like I'm definitely not getting the angles on this right. But again, that doesn't matter. It's literally a hand. And I've probably already spent too long on it. Realistically. This is another thing, is never be afraid to stray from your original sketch. Like, if you're going over your sketch and you feel like you want to make some improvements, no matter how much you like that original sketch, don't be afraid to, start pushing and pulling and straying from what you originally had in mind. Because you might come up with something a whole lot better. You also might not, You might get done and realize that it looks terrible. That happens. But don't be afraid to do it, just for fear of not doing as good a job. Like, that's fine. You can always redo it, or even if you don't, it's fine to have something that doesn't look that great. If you tried and you experimented, then you learn something from it. And then the next time that you make something, it'll be 10 times better because you had that learning experience and you weren't afraid to fail or make something that you didn't like. I'm just trying to make sure that his fingers look nice and blunt. I don't want this guy to have delicate fingers. He's got to have kind of chunky fingers. So I feel like this is starting to look good enough, There's some things that are bugging me. It's not perfect by any means. But can you tell it's a hand? Good enough. And then if we come back and we look at this, you can see, the thumb was way over here. This finger was way over here. So I've strayed significant. First of all, this was a terrible sketch. I was that was like the last thing that I did, and I was like, I'll slap a hand on there. But, even just if you're just basing it based off of the very rough representation of where the fingers were, I changed it quite a bit. And, who's to say necessarily that it's better? but you just should not be too tied to anything in your art. Don't be afraid to be transient, you know? Change it up. Have fun. So I feel like the body's fine now. This hand is actually just a little bit light, so I'm just gonna go in and adjust that slightly. Just darkening it up just so that it doesn't feel out of place, because I feel like it was a little bit too light and fell out of place. That's probably good. Yeah, looks pretty clean. Alrighty. So, if we bring back these references and maybe just make them a little smaller, put them up here, and then grab our little info, maybe put our info like up here. I mean, really the most relevant piece from this reference is actually that head right there. And then, wrong layer, we'll pull this over here so we can see what we're working with. Looking at everything laid out is a very useful practice. You make connections that you had not made before. So, we have a pretty good base to work off of now. So the next steps that I would take, this is a pretty good pose for working out an outfit, and I know that these are the proportions that I want for him. So what I would do next is I'd take this pose and lay it out, you know, one pose here, one pose here, one pose here, on a nice clean sheet, and start laying in variations. So start laying in outfit concepts, head concepts, and do a couple of iterations. I would also work on some silhouettes, which is just a very quick way to get ideas down, really. But all of that is going to have to wait because my mother is calling me. Alright, intermission over. As I was saying, all of that is going to have to wait because I am all out of time for the day. I just wanted to get started on sort of compiling these digitally and making, you know, I want to start making videos on doing these things, on the concepts that I'm working on, and obviously I can't share too much about the story of the graphic novel, but I'd really like to share what I can of the behind the scenes and the design process. So, in the next video, I will go over iterations, do some silhouettes, and we'll really get into the meat of designing. So, I hope to catch you in the next video. Bye!